What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa. I'm a Sierra Leonean American living here in Accra, Ghana for now. And if you want to know why I'm leaving Ghana, then this is the video for you. All right, guys, so we are going to talk about why I am leaving Ghana. And there's a lot to unpack here, So I'm going to give it a second for everybody to get on and for everyone to let me know that you can hear me. Can I get a thumbs up so that I know you can hear me? If you're joining from Instagram and you want to see what we're talking about today, we're talking about the fact that I am leaving Ghana. But if you want to join me on the YouTube live, go to my profile, the link in my profile, and it'll take you directly to the live so you can join live and you can see the comments as they're on screen. It's a lot easier for me to put the comments on screen on YouTube than it is on Instagram. So if you're joining for the first time, head over to my profile, click on the link in the description or click on the link in the profile and go to the YouTube live so we can share. All right, so it looks like you guys can hear me on Instagram live. If you want to stay on Instagram live, you can. We'll talk here. If you want to join me on the YouTube live and see what people are saying, head over to the profile and click on the link there. So a couple people had some comments to say before we even went live. So we had, oh, by the way, reintroductions, by way of reintroductions, for those of you who are not aware of who I am, my name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa. I'm a Sierra Leonean American. I live in West Africa. I'm in Accra, Ghana presently. And today we're going to talk about my leaving Ghana. So there's a lot to unpack, a lot to talk about. So we're going to get into it. The link is in the description if you want to join the YouTube live and see what the comments say on screen. It looks like you guys can hear me on Instagram live. That's great. And I'm live, by the way, I'm live on a number of different platforms. We're live on Instagram. We're live on Facebook. We're live on Twitch. We're live on YouTube. And we're also live on LinkedIn. Actually, the LinkedIn did not go live, funny enough. So we're not live on LinkedIn. And maybe that's for the better. Okay, cool. So let's get right into it. But before we do, there's a couple questions and comments. So African Queen Giselle, who I'm responding to your email. Don't worry, I'm going to get back to you on your email. Is saying, can't wait to hear this one. Andy G says, perhaps low-hanging fruit elsewhere. Anita Howard says, really? I've got to hear this. Manelik is here. What's up, Manelik? And by the way, just always want to shout out Manelik and Koiva too, the two people who help every once in a while with the timestamps on the video. So I want to say thank you to you too. Manelik says you can hear me. Anne-Marie Harding says good evening. I can hear you. Good. So you guys can hear me. You guys can hear me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and of course you can hear me on Twitch as well. Okay, cool. So today we're going to talk about why I am leaving Ghana. No presentation today. We're just going to talk. I wrote some notes down to keep me on track so I can help you guys follow along with the story and what's going on. So we're gonna talk about this. So where do I begin? Well, first, actually, let me just do some reintroductions. There's a lot of people who are joining from different places, especially on Instagram. Many of you guys don't know me. So really quickly, for those of you who don't know, both my parents are born in Sierra Leone. I grew up in the States. I moved to Ghana in December of 2020, and I've been here in West Africa ever since. So I've traveled a little bit around the continent, not too much, just mostly between Sierra Leone and Ghana. Last year, I spent a lot of time traveling Europe and the States. And right now, I've been spending most of my time this year here in Ghana. But within the next week or 10 days, I will be leaving Ghana, and there is no guarantee on a return date to when I'll be coming back to Ghana. So when I leave, it's a one-way ticket, and usually I'll leave on a one-way ticket for a month, maybe a month and a half, 7-8 weeks, something like that. This time it is indefinite. And so there's a lot to talk about, and I'll explain to you why in a second. So let's just start with the apartment situation. I think that's probably the best place to start. We're going to start with the apartment, and then we'll work our way to other areas that led to where we are, and it'll maybe make sense for you all when you guys hear it. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining. You guys are all joining, and there's a lot of engagement. But okay, so I'm leaving Ghana, and I'm leaving Ghana in less than 10 days. And the reason why I'm leaving is twofold. One is career reasons, and two is housing, the housing situation that I have. So there's a couple different things that I think will help this all make sense. So and a little bit of backstory for those of you who don't know, when I moved here, I lived in a couple different places before I moved into the apartment that I live in today here in Ghana. So when I first moved to Ghana, I was living in an Airbnb for about a month and a half. Then I did 2 other Airbnbs for another couple of months before I finally moved into the place that I'm in right now. And this has been the place that I've stayed since moving to Ghana. And it looks like my connection to the internet has just all of a sudden disconnected. So give me a second, guys, to reconnect for Instagram audience, so we don't lose that group. So give me a second, guys, because we just lost the Instagram audience. I want to make sure that I can go back live with them. So, and the people are just dropping like flies from Instagram because I'm not connecting for some reason. All right, so let me just keep going on YouTube, and then they'll pick back up on Instagram of where we are. So I moved into this apartment. In Ghana, oh, Queen Giselle says, I missed it. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. We're just getting started. And Queen Giselle says, hello to everyone. So when I moved into this apartment, you had to pay 6 months up front or a year up front. So I started by paying 6 months up front. And I was paying 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. And then last year, around November, I started doing 3 months or month to month. And the reason for that was I kept having challenges with the apartment, toilets not flushing, water not coming in. When I picked this apartment, part of it was because I wanted to be able to Airbnb it while I was gone. Last year, I spent only 4 months in Ghana, and I wasn't able to generate any revenue off of this apartment within being able to utilize it as an Airbnb, because there was so many issues. I didn't want to keep getting 1-star reviews. I have like a spotless record on Airbnb, and the last thing I want to do is use my apartment for an Airbnb and have these issues. So I decided against doing Airbnb in this apartment, and basically just spent money all year on this apartment while not living here. And so that led me, and also because there were so many issues, that led me to say, okay, you know what, I'm not going to pay 6 months up front, especially if I'm going to spend extended periods of time away from Ghana. So, we started having conversations that I mean myself and the building management. And they mentioned the owner, they have friends that are interested in this particular unit that I'm in. Now, there is a unit upstairs that is a little bit smaller and a little bit cheaper, but the problem still persists, right? So it's not as if it changes anything, but it's one of the few places that I had the ability to stay in month to month at a reasonable rate, because I had already been paying rent here before, and so many of the tenants of the building had already moved out, right? So there was basically a mass exodus of tenants last year while I was gone, because the generator was never working, and they kept running out. They kept having power issues. I know that's not a normal thing in Ghana, but here they were having power issues. The generator wasn't working. So like Ghanaians that live here were moving out. Then they had a couple diasporans. They had a young lady who had a sponsor. So my live video just ended out of nowhere. That's strange. Let's go live again on Instagram to get those folks back. Sorry, guys. This has been a day of technical difficulties. MTN is not cooperating with me today. So again, we're talking about why I'm leaving Ghana. Right. So the last live on Instagram, for some reason, it's stopped working. So we're back live again. And so for all of you who are joining, stay tuned, because we're talking about why I am leaving Ghana. So I just kind of went through the whole history of being in this apartment for 2 years, but last year, not even being here for more than 4 months, didn't make sense for me, right? And so I started thinking about how I'm going to spend my time and where I'm going to spend my time. So it was um it was in January of this year where I really started thinking, okay, let me just do month to month rent payments with the building. That ensures that they do the work that they say they're going to do, and also gives me the opportunity to decide what I want to do if I want to move out of this apartment somewhere else here in Ghana. And there were some conversations back and forth, and basically they said, look, at the end of next month we likely have two different groups of people moving in. So we have one vacant unit upstairs which has a ton of work that needs to be done, and then we have the unit that you live in, which is the current unit that I'm in. And so I was like, well, look, I am going to be leaving within a couple weeks, and there's about 3 to 4 weeks between the time in which you expect someone to move in and when I'm leaving. And so I was thinking, okay, why don't I just move my stuff, everything? I mean, everything from the drapes that you guys see in the background, the bed. This place was completely empty before I moved in. So ideally, I was just going to take this stuff, move it upstairs to the unit upstairs while they rented out the place that I'm in right now. And then I would have come back to that apartment upstairs, because generally the main reason why I'm coming back is because I'm paying rent here, right? The work that I do as a consultant, I don't actually need to be in person with the people that I consult with. In fact, most of the time we do Zoom calls, even though they're here in Accra. In terms of my friends, I do have friends here, but because I'm so busy with work, I hardly ever go out, and also my friends are all very busy people too. So we don't go out like every weekend. Like I went 3-4 weekends in a row without ever going out once. I was just working all weekend, doing everything that I do, creating content, etc. If you guys may have seen that on the Instagram page, how much more the content has, the quality has gone up, and the number of posts have gone up, and even my personal engagement with the posts and the community engagement has gone up because I'm spending more time on that. So all of those things were factors in terms of the apartment as to why I need to figure out where I was going to move to next, right? And so, so we know that I'm going to move out, but where am I going to go? And so I've been looking at a couple of different places, and I couldn't find anything that was honestly reasonably priced, right? So I kept going back and forth with different agents, looking at different places, and there wasn't anything reasonably priced that would allow month-to-month rentals. If you want to do a month-to-month rental here, especially places like I'm in a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom place, right? This place was $600 a month. But other places like this, especially in this area, tend to be $800 to $900 a month, and they expect you to pay 6 to 12 months in advance, right? So that's just how it works. So for this place, right, it was either coming out of pocket $3,600 for the 6 months, or $7,200, and forgive me, I don't do math in public, but yeah, I think that's about right. $7,200 for the year, right? And so it doesn't make sense to do that if you are not sure you're going to stay, right? And so, so for me, I have been thinking about it back and forth, and staying in Ghana really had a lot to do with the fact that when I would talk to people internationally, investors, people who are looking for remote work and remote employees, contract work that I'm doing, it's just easier to say I live in Ghana, right? Because Ghana has become something or a country that everybody is familiar with, right? If I say I live somewhere else, unless it's Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, or Egypt, people are gonna be like, why are you there? And so that was part of the reason why I was like, it was good to say, okay, here's my home base in Ghana, but I'm no longer a resident here, and I'm no longer gonna have the apartment here, and I really haven't found anything that was worth spending that amount of money up front to rent if I'm not going to be here, and it's not 100% guaranteed I'm going to Airbnb it. So those are all the things going on with the apartment. All right, before I keep going, let me get into some of these comments. There's a lot of comments. So African Queen says, oh no, yeah, it's no good, you're right. Sorry about that, she says. And I still hear you can hear me good, because that was my internet was going in and out. So Zakaya is saying hello. Leslie is here. What's up, Leslie? Leslie says, hey Joe, wahala. Fred is asking if I'm going to Liberia. I will reveal that in just a moment. Lenora is here. What's up, Lenora? Brown Coat Blue says, yo, hope all's well, Joe. All is well. And then Leslie is saying BCB, the unfaithfulness. What is BCB? You got to tell me what that acronym stands for. I have no idea. Okay, so there's a couple of questions people are asking. Let's see. This person, Mr. Papa Bear, interesting name, had a couple questions. So what's the deal with the place though? So that's the deal. I'm leaving the place, right? And I'm not moving back. Brown Coat Blue is saying hey to Leslie. Savage Silk is saying hey Joe, what's up, Savage Silk? African Queen says at least you're still in good spirits. Yeah, of course. Brown Coat Blue is saying it's me. Pharaoh Elliott is saying Accra's loss is going to be our gain. Yes. And you know exactly. Yes. He and I have had a conversation, so he knows exactly where I'm going. And Leslie is saying hi to Brown Coat Blue. Okimute says, wow, Leslie, who taught you Wahala? Of course, she spending some time in Ghana. She had her own experience with Wahala, of course. So I spent a long time talking about the apartment situation. Okay, so if I'm not going to be here in this apartment and I haven't found another apartment to move to, and I'm planning to go to Sierra Leone in the next week and a half or less than that, and I'm buying a one-way ticket and don't know when I'm coming back, there's no point in then being sure there's no point in coming back immediately if I have no apartment to come back to, right? And where I have to stay is going to cost me more money because it's probably going to be a hotel or figure out some other place like an Airbnb or something like that. Because anytime you do anything for a short period of time, you're not going to get it for the same rate that you would get if you're somewhere for an extended period of time, right? Of course. And so I'm going to Sierra Leone, and there's a couple things happening. So you guys have been following along. I'm building a house in Sierra Leone. The guest house is almost done. Really, the last things we need to do is put the doors on. We need to and also connect to the local electricity and put solar in. And that's all going to happen in this next trip, which means I have a free place to stay, which I paid for to get done and up to my liking and to my standard. And I have only me to blame if anything happens in that apartment that I don't like, because I'm the one who paid the contractor to get the work done. So I'm going to Sierra Leone, and I am going to be there for at least 3 months and for the foreseeable future, right? So at this point, there is no plan immediately to come back to Ghana, right? Because at this point in time, what am I coming back here for? I've made some friends here. It's been great. But in terms of career-wise, there's not a lot happening for me in Ghana in particular. And so does it really make sense for me to come back to Ghana? And so that leads me to the next point on the career topic. But before I get into that, let me get some more comments because there's a lot coming in. And so I just want to make sure I get to them all before I move on. So Lenora said, why are you moving now? So I'm getting into that a little bit more. No Narrative caught the live. What's up, No Narrative? No, long time no speak. Kwabena says, are you moving to Nigeria or SL? It's SL for now. African Queen says, smart move. Okimute says, are you going to be finally settled in Sierra Leone? I came late. Looks like that I will be. Yes. Brown Coat Blue saying Leslie Davido because she said Wahala. African Queen, so you think it's smart when it comes to spending your money? You do have to think smart when it comes to spending your money. That is true. Catherine Smith says, wow, long time no speak, Catherine Smith. What's up? Hey, Joe, I haven't made it to Ghana yet. We'll be in Ghana hopefully in 2023 or next. We hate to have missed you. I do live in the States in Houston, Texas. Hopefully we'll meet in the States. Maybe so. We'll see. African Queen says, congrats on building your home. Nice. Thank you. I'm Leslie, of course, says, hit that like button. Of course, yes, please support. Hit that like button. Hit that thumbs up. Anne-Marie Harding says, what are you going to do with your furniture? Great question. So that's the other thing. I may just ship my furniture to Sierra Leone because I have a place to put it. And I wasn't able to ship my furniture from Los Angeles. I have my stuff in storage in Los Angeles still from the apartment that I had in Los Angeles back in 2019 when I broke my lease and ended my stay in Los Angeles in December of 2019. My stuff has been in storage in Los Angeles since then, but I hadn't found a person who could ship all of my stuff, and so that stuff is still in storage. I have stuff now that I bought here for this apartment, and I can more easily ship it. So I'm likely to ship this stuff if I can't find a place to store it in the next coming days. So I'm trying to find somewhere to store it here. There is no like storage units. That's not a business like it is in other places, like in the US, right? You have storage containers, you even have shows called Storage Wars. That's not something you have here. And so I've been trying to go through some of my network, figuring out what I'm going to do with it. It's good to have backup plans. Absolutely. Lenora says she understands. African Queen says, yes, I already hit that like button when I first came in. Nice. Leslie says, are you selling your Los Angeles furniture? I will be selling some of the Los Angeles furniture. I have a TV that I haven't sold. I have 2 TVs that have been just sitting there that I just need to sell, because at this point, those TVs aren't going anywhere. So I might as well sell them. So Leslie, we'll talk if you want to buy some of my stuff, or anybody else in the Los Angeles area that's looking to buy anything. I'll give you a link to the Facebook Marketplace where I had originally started posting this stuff. If you guys want to buy anything from that, I'm willing to start selling it, because at this point, who knows how long before that stuff gets to Africa. So I might as well sell it. I've been paying for storage since December of 2019 in America, and I've been living here since December of 2020. Okay, so who else we got? Kwame says, hope you are well and all is well as with everyone. Yes, all is well. Okay. So what's next is the career decisions that I'm making. So many of you know that I've been working in advertising for my entire career, right? So we're talking about going on, let's see, when I first started my career was in 2007. It's 2023. So what is that? How many years? 2007 to 2023. Is that 18 years? 3 plus 3, that's 6. I don't know, about 16, 17 years, whatever it is, that I've had my career in advertising. And in that time, it's been a great career, but I've always wanted to transition into the world of investment and venture capital, private equity, angel investing, just any way to help businesses grow, and then also, have investments, right, outside of the real estate investments and the real estate portfolio that I have. And so that's always been a goal of mine. And 15 plus 16, you see, I don't do math in public, but I love having the chat help me out with the numbers. Lenora saying, I'm looking for a trustworthy realtor in Sierra Leone. I do have one that I can recommend. Lenora, hit me up and I can recommend someone to you. African Queen says, yeah, save that money for sure and sell it. Yes, I will. Constantine, what's up, man? Long time no speak. I met Constantine here in Ghana, as a matter of fact, a while back. Brownco Blue said, definitely not accounting. Yeah, definitely not an accounting major. But I know enough math, but yeah, it was definitely a conversation. So Constantine said we got to catch up soon. So Constantine's in the world of investments, actually. And so, yeah, so Constantine, we definitely do have to catch up. I'll message you on LinkedIn and we'll definitely connect. So that's the goal. It's the transition there. In Ghana, you guys might remember I did the live and I talked about the fact that there was $500 plus $1 million that went into advertising, into investments and startups in Ghana last year. And that's great. However, there are so many people that are doing that, right? And so as it pertains to Ghana, when it comes to Sierra Leone, as you guys know, that is a market that doesn't have a ton of folks in that space. And there are so many people asking me to help out in that space in Sierra Leone, whereas in Ghana, I'm chasing after people to do free work for them. I was given advice to reach out to VC firms and offer my services for free. And that was actually Farrell who mentioned that. So shout out to you when he and I had a call about investing and advising. And it's like people weren't even looking to take my free services here, whereas people are willing to pay me for my services in Sierra Leone. And I'm working. I had a call on Friday with the tourism board in Sierra Leone. Every week I have a call with an investment group focused on doing something in Sierra Leone, but I'm here in Ghana. And so to me, it makes sense that I'm more of a big fish in a small pond in Sierra Leone, whereas I'm just a minnow in a pond of lakes here. A pond of sharks in Ghana, right? And so, just to keep the metaphor going. And it's just a lot more difficult to break into an industry that has so many people with experience specifically in those roles here. And not only do they have experience, but they have higher levels of education focused on it. Whereas most of my experience has just been through my dealings with startups. And so that does give, and working at startups, but I don't have the formal education around the investment and advisory space. But I can still take what I have learned and apply that in Sierra Leone, because there is much to be desired in that space, right? And as my channel grows and as my profile grows and as my network grows in Sierra Leone, there's so much more opportunity for me there. Every conversation leads to a new conversation that's much more fruitful. And in Sierra Leone, whereas when I'm in Ghana, I'm mostly just focused on what I've been doing in my own little circle and what I've been focused on, and really not progressing in the career that I'm looking to move forward in. So that is why it doesn't make sense for me to stay here if where I'm looking to go is not coming to fruition while I'm here. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not blaming outside factors. It does have a lot to do with my wants and ability to be out all the time, to network, to meet people. But when it comes to what I'm doing in Sierra Leone, I know the right people who know the right people who are always introducing me to those folks. And there are inbound leads coming all the time when it comes to Sierra Leone, and it's not at all the case in Ghana. So why would I continue to spend my so much time, energy, and effort here if I'm really not being able to maximize that and move that forward in the career trajectory that I'm looking to move forward in, and where I'm moving to? So that is why Sierra Leone is the best option for me, and that is why I am leaving Ghana. Now, it wasn't necessarily the fact that I was planning to leave Ghana forever when I first decided I was going to be leaving at the end of April, but because I didn't find an apartment before I leave, at this point, I need to be gone indefinitely. There's no need to come back if I don't have an apartment here, and especially if I don't have employment here. And on the topic of employment, we should probably talk about that. But before we do, there's a couple other people joining, and they're just saying some things, so I want to catch up. So Bronco Blue says, sounds cool. Congrats on your decision. Good luck with the new endeavor. Thank you. Anita Howard saying, greetings, Joe. What did I miss? Oh, a lot. You're going to have to go back and watch. This is a lot. African Queen 1 Giselle says, that is great. Leslie says, go ahead and transfer to SL, brother. You are needed there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Bronco Blue says Sierra Leone is probably the right play. Untapped market by comparison. Absolutely. And African Queen Giselle is agreeing. That is my madre calling. I will have to call her back when I'm done on the live. Jose Cruz says Salon Venture Capital Firm. Well, there aren't a ton of there are incubators. There are companies that are investing in startups. There actually are firms that do some investments in Sierra Leone, but it's not like there are a ton of venture capital firms on the continent. I'm not building one as of yet, but I am working at some point in time to start a fund, and I will build one. But until then, I'm working to actually get some experience working for companies in the space, so I can see what it's like on the inside, to look at deal flow, to look at valuations, to decide who to invest in, how much to invest, all those kinds of things. Those are all things that I want to do, and not just watching Shark Tank or reading books and listening to podcasts, but actually in practice. And so I haven't gotten that experience here in Ghana, and I know that I can get that experience in Sierra Leone, judging by the conversations that I'm having right now. So the other part that I want to mention is the full-time career in advertising. And so the company that I was working for, you guys might all be familiar with that discussion. We're not going to name them here. They will go unnamed. I'm no longer working for that company anymore. So for a couple of different reasons that we can talk about on another live, we have amicably split, as we say. And so they're no longer and weren't ever really interested in expanding in Africa. It was really more my initiative that I was pushing. And you guys might remember I was traveling to the States a lot because the team I was managing were based in the States. And it makes more sense for them as a business to have that team managed in the United States and build out that team in the States, because their clients are in New York and, flying me out all the time. And when my focus wants to be here on the continent, they know that's my focus. They know about my platform, Authentic African. And so for them, And for me, it just made the most sense for us to part ways. So I'm consulting now, doing some contract work, and also continuing to build the social media platform. I'm building everything authentic African. And and by no longer working in that full-time capacity with that organization, it's allowed me to spend a lot more time really focusing on building this media platform to present the stories of people living on the continent, to share the stories of entrepreneurs, vlog my life, and also share information between the diaspora and the continent of Africa. So if you guys may or may not have noticed, the Instagram page has grown 25,000 followers. And this is not like buying traffic, bots, anything like that, not even any promotional posts. This all has come from me being able to take the brain power that I put in a full-time job and apply it directly to what I'm doing in social media, right? So you guys may or may not have known, because I haven't really talked about it publicly, but I haven't been with this organization for a little bit of time now. We're not gonna talk about how long, but there's been a little bit of time that I haven't been with this organization. So it's allowed me to focus all of my time, energy, and effort on the social media platform. And by doing so, it's return dividends, right? Like it's grown tremendously in that time frame, especially the Instagram page. We've gotten a lot more folks who are in the verified realm, pre-paying for verification, who've been engaging with posts, sharing the post. 3.2 million. In every 30 days or so, I reach about 3.2 million accounts on the Instagram page. And that has a lot to do with being able to spend a lot of time focusing on the content and really building out a strategy around it. And it's proven to me that this is something that I can focus on and continue to do, right? So I'm really excited to be able to be more focused on it. And it allows me to be able to bring more to you guys, right? So many people have been asking me about consulting. And when I had the full-time role, I could not even sit down and think about consulting, not even working with a partner. I just couldn't do it. I didn't have the time, the energy, or the effort to put into it. There just wasn't, there was just no time, and there was the ability to do it wasn't there. Doing travel guides, doing travel itineraries, working on trips and with travel companies, doing merchandise, right? All of these things, reopening the e-commerce store. All of these things kept getting pushed off because of the full-time job. And these are the things that are offering the most value to the people that I care about most. The job was paying the bills and was exciting to be able to go to the States and travel to Atlanta, to New York, DC, LA, and all these different places, to Europe. I was in France last year. I was in Germany and London last year. But the stuff that I do for everyone here and all the people who are coming on board was suffering because I was focused so much on that. And so, like, you guys will start to see over the coming months, you'll see a complete shift in how everything is being presented. And you probably have already seen it on the Instagram page, more clips, more interviews, more content, and better quality content, because I can focus on it now. So let me know if you guys have actually noticed it, by the way, because I don't know if you guys have been noticing the content now, but a couple of people have mentioned it to me. Like, my friends are like, you're finally showing up in my feed. I thought you were shadow banned. And I was. But now I'm starting to show up in people's feeds, and it's showing with the engagement for sure. Okay, so a couple more comments that are coming up that I wanted to get to. So Jose Cruz says, word. Lenora says, you are putting a smile on my face and heart. You're on a great path. I'm so happy for you. Thank you. And it makes me smile. I'm actually excited about the future and what's to come. It doesn't mean I'll never move back to Ghana. It doesn't mean I won't be coming to Ghana to visit. But as of right now, I'm going to be gone indefinitely. So let's talk about specifically in Sierra Leone, the things that are happening, right? Number one, as I mentioned, there are incubators that are in Sierra Leone right now that I am talking to, and I was always able to work with them in a very limited capacity. Most of what they do requires people to be in country, and so I always had to work. And like, we had this conversation about working with them, like, how do you work with them? Because you need to be hands-on, you need to be in person. And now this gives me the opportunity to be hands-on and in person and really work on what I'm passionate about, right? I mean, I do this stuff for free for my friends, or anybody I know who has a business. I might as well get paid for it. And I might as well also do it for companies that are scaling, right? To really get that experience. So I'm really excited about that. So that's on the incubator front. So I have people that are actually asking me and paying me to do work, but I'm limited in that capacity because I'm here. So I can actually go there and do more and get paid more, right? I also have a nonprofit, as I mentioned to you all. Launchpad Africa is a project that I've been working on since 2020. And it's with 3 other friends of mine who we all came to Ghana for the year of return. We are all aligned in the way we look at the world and what we want to see for Sierra Leone and the continent of Africa. And we started this, we have a founding board of 4 members. And, I also have been limited in my ability to really help build and scale Launchpad Africa and what we want to do. We've done some seminars, we've done some webinars, and that's been good, but we haven't really been able to maximize what we want to do as of yet. And this will allow me to do more there. I also now can focus on doing more of the content that I love to do, right? Which is, highlighting businesses in Sierra Leone. I'm highlighting businesses in Ghana as well. And I got some content that's coming for you guys. We're talking about, Afrobeats artists that are here locally, diasporans that have moved here. I have a ton of interviews that are coming for sure, but there are already people doing that here in Ghana. There's people who are doing excursions. There are people who are doing, I live here, I vlog here. There are people interviewing people. There's so many people doing that here. There are not nearly enough people doing that in Sierra Leone and highlighting that for Sierra Leone. And it's important because many of you found me through getting your citizenship in Sierra Leone. So that means I should be giving you guys the content you're looking for, because that's a country that you care about, right? You've gotten your citizenship there. So you need to know what successful businesses are there, how other diasporans have made the transition. I need to be able to help you do that by actually consulting and walking you through the process of getting your driver's license, opening bank accounts, all those things that people need, right? And so why wouldn't I go there and focus on that and actually build that out, right? Do good and do well at the same time. So that's also part of what I want to do. Also, as I mentioned to you guys before, I always had this goal of bringing products to Sierra Leone that are not readily available, but for those who are used to living in the diaspora and are used to these particular products and items. Excuse me. I can't really do that from here. I have to be there because I need to continuously see what people are looking for. I need to have the pain points of not having it myself so I know what to bring. And then I also need to actually test the logistics of the process, right? And continue to test and test and test. And so I just need to be there for all of that. So that is a really big part of why Sierra Leone makes sense for me right now. Catherine Smith says, yes, I did notice the uptick in your content. It's been fabulous. Thank you. The Real Exposure Show says, I'm coming to Ghana in 30 days in August. And event space is an event space a good business in Ghana? It can be, yes. Especially in December, right? Like it could be really seasonal. It could be like right now or in December. It could be a really big deal because there are a bunch of people who do pop-up stuff during that time, pop-up shops, pop-up like fashion shows, pop-up parties, pop-up like little restaurants, things like that. So event space could be good for those things, but it could be really seasonal. So I think if you have an event space, some of the things you should think about is making it a space that people can shoot content in. It's such a big challenge for people to find places to interview people. Many people interview people in their houses here in Ghana, or they find someone else who has a house that allows them to film in it. So I would say set up like podcast studio and set up equipment for filming, or at least make it bright enough and light enough and in a central location that people can shoot. And you'll have people that'll be willing to pay you monthly or per hour or whatever to be able to use your space. But yeah, that would be how you can extend the life of it outside of just the high traffic periods in time. But I would definitely say come here first, spend some time here, get a chance to talk to people and see how needed that is. But based on my experience, that would be something I would definitely say. Lenora says, as I told you before, you'll receive a multitude of blessings. Thank you. I appreciate it. I expect to. TJ says, I'm glad you're moving to Sierra Leone to highlight some of the things that are going on here. We need that. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely needed. And it's not to say there aren't other YouTubers in Sierra Leone, because I definitely am in a YouTube group with a bunch of YouTubers in Sierra Leone. And there are actually some people in Sierra Leone who have more subscribers than me on YouTube currently. But they're not doing the content that I plan to do. And so you just need people to highlight the businesses in these stories. Miss S says, I love that idea. Creator Space had that idea myself. Nice. So yeah, if that's what you guys want to do, that could be something interesting here in Ghana. That's also something I might do in Sierra Leone as well, just because that's also needed there. The content creators there need somewhere to shoot. Not everybody likes to see somebody with a camera and filming, especially in a restaurant or in a public place. A lot of people don't like to be filmed. So especially here in West Africa, it's not like in the States where, like, you see TikTokers filming and then people jump in and start doing the dance. It's not like that here. People, like, a lot of times are not happy when you start filming without asking their permission, or people want to charge you to film and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. So back to my move. So job prospects, the ability to have more of an impact, the ability to do more content, right? In the incubator work that I have been asked to do, and the ability to be really way more into it. And then, of course, the real estate piece. So where am I going to stay when I go to Sierra Leone? I have 3 options to choose from right now that are really viable options. I have one place which I probably will shoot my lives from, because they have industrial strength internet service. And it is a family member of mine, has a pretty large space where I'll be able to stay for an indefinite period of time if I would like. There are a few people living in that space, so it's not like what I'm used to, where I'm here in my own space alone. So I'll probably stay there for a little bit, but then I can utilize that space to maybe film the lives. I also have another space that I can live with a roommate, which is also something I haven't done in a long time, but someone who I know who has access to a vehicle 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, who will be going all the events that I go to, is a good friend of mine, and who's also a business partner with me in the nonprofit, right? So he and I can work on a lot of things together because that's what we are here to do. He's Ugandan living in Sierra Leone. I'll be moving back to Sierra Leone. So I would not normally live with someone, but the rent would be really cheap. I have access to a vehicle, and I have a person who I'm a business partner with that I will be in close quarters with, so that we can actually really focus on our business and do more together. Because right now we're always trying to coordinate schedules. I'm here in Ghana, he's there, and then we have our other 2 business partners there as well, and we're always trying to coordinate schedules. It'd be a lot easier if I'm there and we can all meet together. I don't have to do the remote meetings that I've been doing, right? So the idea is that we can all do that together, and then I don't also have to rush to shoot the content that I've been shooting. I mentioned to you guys in that last live that I did, where there were a number of people upset about me interviewing Lebanese folks, and I expressed to you why. Right? It was like I interviewed a ton of different folks, but in terms of the people who had been most on it, like quickly, like if I have a conversation with someone, I send an email. They said, okay, let's meet. Like today's Monday, say, okay, let's meet on Wednesday at 11 o'clock. I'll be ready. Send me the questions by Tuesday. I send them the questions. They send their comments and their thoughts. Wednesday we have the interview. We move on. I realize that that's not how most of the people who I'm going to be having as subjects on the channel are going to be able to work, right? Sometimes it's going to take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes longer to be able to get in touch with those people and to be able to do the interviews. Because as I mentioned to you before, people put off the interviews, they postpone, they change their minds, whatever. And so that requires a little bit more flexibility on my end in terms of when I can shoot that content. And usually I'm there for a finite period of time. And so I usually have to leave before I've gotten all the content that I wanted to get. There's still more people that I wanted to get. And I was rushing to get people interviews, and some of the content's not as good as I wanted it to be because I had to rush. Now this gives me the time to kind of, plan and shoot optimal content. And it gives me the opportunity to collaborate also with other content creators in Sierra Leone. There are a few there, and I think we need to cross-pollinate our audiences, and we need to grow together as a group. And I know that part of that is going to require me being there and just being a little bit more focused on pushing that. the group that I'm in, the WhatsApp group that I'm in, kind of goes quiet. And I think you need like a couple of folks, like 2 to 3 folks in a Facebook group or in a WhatsApp group like that, who are leading the charge and leading the discussion. And because I'm passionate about it, I'm willing to do that. And so I think that there's going to be a lot to do when I get there in terms of content. So you can expect a lot more content from me from Sierra Leone. And there's still content coming from Ghana too, because there's a ton of stuff that I shot that I haven't put out yet that will be coming in the coming months. All right. So the Real Exposure Show says, thanks for that. I'm working on being able to have an event space in Cali and Ghana, travel back and forth. Nice. Good idea. Anita Howard says, congratulations on your move to Sierra Leone. Thank you. Miss S says, I think it is important to share stories of a wide variety of people in Sierra Leone. It gives better view of the markets and competition. Agreed. I agree 100%. So the last couple of things I wanted to mention is the house, right? So as I mentioned, the house is being worked on. But when I'm in country, whether I'm in the house or not, I can always be there to fix things or work on things, and I can just do more. When and also the other thing too that I haven't really mentioned, which I think is probably more important than everything else that I've talked about today, is my family heritage and where I come from and who my family is. As you guys might know, my grandfather was chief. My great-grandfather was chief. My great-uncle was chief at one point in time. And that has been lost. It was lost in the prior generation. My father went to the States. And so distant cousins are now have been chiefs, the last 2 chiefs in a row. But there is so much family heritage that I haven't really gotten, and it is disappearing quickly, right? Like the ability to tell those stories and to know who these people were, pre-colonialism, post-colonialism, during, all of that is just it's getting lost. And this gives me the opportunity to go to Bo more often, to get that information and to be able to share that information, and to learn more about who I am and where I come from. And to be able to pass that on to future generations in the family, and also share that with you guys if you guys find it interesting, right? So all of that's going to be important. Buying more land, being able to be at the different places. I bought land this year, and I haven't seen it yet. Like we got, me and some family members got 3 acres, 3 to 5. We're still working that out. 3 to 5 acres of land, and I still have not stepped foot on that land yet. I've also haven't traveled outside of Bo, Freetown, and a little bit of Kenema in the country of Sierra Leone. I haven't been to any of the other provinces, haven't been anywhere else. And there are other parts of my family lineage that I haven't really traced. My dad's mother is from Guinea. My mother's mother is from Liberia, right? And so, both of those countries are neighboring to Sierra Leone. So it's a drive, to either place. And so I need to be there so that I can do more of that. And so then that way I'm not just flying in for events really quickly, or, things that are happening over like a 3 to 6 week span. Oh man, it's buffering. Can you guys hear me now? Am I lagging? Is it lagging? Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you guys can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Okay, so there's a couple things that people are saying. TJ says, I would love to see you interview Junior Navel, the CEO of AYV Media Empire. He is underrated, but is doing lots for that country. It's a great point, TJ. That's another thing. So I've been in communications with AYV for over a year and a half now. And I've met with them on many occasions, and we had actually talked about my content being on AYV and DSTV, and we've never really fully come to an agreement on that. And this is just one of those things that I would have to chase after, right? And so I can't do that remotely. I need to be there in person. So absolutely we'll do that. Leslie is saying, claim your chiefdom. You're going to claim your chiefdom. I cannot. The chief, when you're a chief for life. And so it's not possible until the next chief passes, then I'm eligible. But it's, I don't even speak Mende. So like we're talking another chief away before it's even possible for me. That's something that I may do in my retirement years, 30 years from now, 40 years from now. But like it's not something I can do now, but it's something that I can build towards if that's something I'd like to do. There's also more that I can do in public and private sector partnerships with government and with companies around travel and tourism, because I've been here for the year of return. I am a friend with someone who ran social media and who worked for Beyond the Return, Year of Return, and so I can apply some of that knowledge and that understanding and learning to what we're doing in Sierra Leone. Okay. African Queen said, I bought land too and still haven't seen mine either. So you are not alone. Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so everybody says they could hear me. There was no issue. So I thought I was buffering, but I guess I wasn't. Julian saying, hey, Joe, as you know, I've just got back to London from Sierra Leone today. Had 2 weeks there with my family. My family is Ghanaian, and my wife's Ghanaian. Nice. Bronco Blue said it was never buffering at all. It was fine. Okay. No Narrative said it's been fixed. Cool. Wasn't buffering on your end. Everybody was saying they can hear me. Mari Shai says, hello, what's up? TJ says, I know some Hatagua families in Bo at my Boima Road. Are you related to them? It's one of the biggest chief compound in Bo. Yes, that is my family. That is yeah, it's HOTAGUA, by the way. But yeah, that is the family. That is the Hatagua family. That is my family. Yes. And there's a My Hatagua Street now as well that was named after us. And then there's another Hatagua Street in Kenema. So yes, that is the family. So if you know that family and you know that family lineage, that is me and my grandfather and my great grandfather. Yes. So I'm hoping to connect with you. Let me know if you're able to see my email. I did get your email. I am going to respond to your email. It's open and it's in the drafts, but don't worry, I will get to your email. Miss S says, I'm interested in buying land in Sierra Leone. Are you planning to do real estate videos or with realtors or real estate lawyers? Yes, I am. So as part of the idea of building out a consulting, you kind of have to promote it. And I can do kind of two things at once. I could be promoting the consulting and consultancy, but it also can actually be highlighting businesses and what the process looks like. And so I will absolutely be doing more content on that when I get to Sierra Leone. So stay tuned for that for sure. Raphael Brown says, wow, they call the police, you tell them that? I don't understand, Raphael. I'm not really sure what you're talking about. Shout out to Raphael, though. Raphael is, if it's the Raphael that I remember, Raphael is a troll, a real life troll that lives under a bridge. Spear Warrior says, greetings. What's up, Spear Warrior? What's up, man? Sawana says, best wishes to you back to Sierra Leone. Thank you. African Queen says, that is pretty cool. Says, okay, cool. Yeah. So that is the story, right? So we kind of went through what's going on here locally. We went through the career experience and where I want to go and what I plan to do. We went through what else? The apartment, went through the role, the job that I had. We went through what content I'll be doing, which we went through a little bit on the real estate and where I'll be staying. So a real quick recap for everybody who is just joining. Basically, I'm going to Sierra Leone and for the foreseeable future. Don't know when I'll be coming back to Ghana. There are a number of different reasons that I kind of went through and listed out, but it just makes the most sense for me to be there now and for that to be where I spend most of my time. And of course, the crew that I have there that work in all different business sectors have been pushing me on this for years. They're like, and you know, many of you have even asked that, right? I mean, I think when I interviewed with Ivy Prosper, one of my first interviews, she asked me that specific question. She was just like, you're moving to the continent, why Ghana instead of Sierra Leone? And now that I have more context, now that I've been here for a couple of years, and I have so much more of a network, I realize that for me right now, Sierra Leone is so much better and makes so much more sense for me right now. Not for everyone, but for me in particular, right? It makes the most sense for me to focus on making that move. So my man Raphael, I gotta put you on timeout, my brother. You're doing too much. I mean, I appreciate the engagement though, but you are spending a lot of energy on the negative energy. I'm not gonna put his words on the screen, but if anybody wants to see what Raphael's saying, head on over to the comments. It might be fun for you to watch. So Raphael's going on timeout. He's gonna go into the corner, and I'm gonna you know what? You're gonna, you know what you're gonna do? You know what we're gonna do with you, Raphael? We're gonna do what my mom used to do with us, which she used to make us hold our ears like this and do squats, right? You do squats or do wall sits. That's what we do with you. We put you on timeout. That's how we do timeout here. We put you on timeout. Bye, Raphael. Until next time, brother. All right. So back to what what people are saying though. So Spear Warrior, I hope that answers your question. I kind of went through what happened there. But yeah, so that's really it. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? I really took inventory of everything, had to really sit down and think about it, and I have hours to think about these things now because I'm no longer spending 12 hours a day focused on a company and a business that I have not as much interest in focusing on, right? I mean, I have to be honest. I think digital advertising is interesting, and I'm happy to help companies build their online presence and get in front of their audiences and actually monetize their digital assets. But as a primary income stream and as a primary like thought process, everything that I've focused on is doing that. I think it took a lot from me being able to do more here and to be able to offer you guys more insight and to be able to provide to you all what you've been asking for, right? The platform has grown enough that I can spend more time focused on it now and maximizing the value that I'm bringing to this marketplace and to this group. So yeah. I hope that helps. A couple people asking, what is it like to live over there? I guess you mean specifically in Ghana and Sierra Leone. I will say this. There are pros and cons to everywhere you live. I always do this when I say what I'm going to say. I qualify first. I was a person who lived in New York who moved to Los Angeles, and that was a culture shock. So moving from city to city is going to be a culture shock. I've lived in Jacksonville, Florida for a year. Never again. I lived in Pennsylvania for 13 years. Boarding school, lived in New York for 16 years, and I lived in LA for 4 years, and now I've lived in Ghana, Sierra Leone for a little over 2 years. And I would say every new city has a culture shock. It's different everywhere, but a couple of things to keep in mind. One of the things about moving from city to city in the United States is even though the language might be a little different, the culture might be a little different, it's still all under the umbrella of America. Right. And so there are certain things that you get used to that you can do. So like certain apps that you use everywhere in America, like Uber, for instance, Seamless, or what are the other businesses there? DoorDash and all of that. Right. Obviously here, those options are not the same. There are different companies doing it, and Uber is not available in every country. Like for instance, Uber is not available in Sierra Leone at the moment. So finding other modes of transportation are required. And now I have multiple modes of transportation available to me when I go to Sierra Leone. So it makes it a little easier for me to transition. So there's a couple questions. So that's Willie D Enterprises is asking that. So yes, I'm in Africa right now, specifically in Accra, Ghana. And I'm talking about the fact that I am moving to Freetown, Sierra Leone. So yeah, but I would say, Mr. Papa Bear, definitely follow some of the other videos on the channel. I've talked a lot about my experience in Ghana and in Sierra Leone on different lives. So if you want to like get a little bit more details on that, definitely check that out. I guess after we put Raphael on timeout, I guess some people thought it was a little funny. Bronco Blue and Leslie laughed. Mari Shai says, I'm moving to Sierra Leone too. Congrats, brother. Well, congrats to you as well. Looking forward to it. Julian is saying, I saw some good opportunities around agriculture, met some amazing entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, owner of Moza Resort, York. Was it Galene's Paradise in Bow, Lunsar, Voluntary Primary School, Lumley. So look at this, Julian, how long were you there? And look at how many different people he was able to meet being in Sierra Leone, right? If you're a serious person, think of the level of networking you can do in Sierra Leone, because it's a country of about 7 million people. And for context, right, so you guys get an idea of that size and that number of people, Lagos, the city of Lagos has 9 million people registered to vote. Sierra Leone has between 7 and 8 million people in the entire country. Right. So just I like to give context for size of population so people can wrap their heads around it. So Sierra Leone is definitely a small country in every aspect, right? Metaphorically and actually physically. And if you are a serious person, you definitely can do a lot of networking. You do have to do a lot of follow-ups, and you do have to do a lot of vetting, but you do have the opportunity to make a much stronger impact in a country like that. If you're a serious person and you're passionate about it and you're willing to deal with the obstacles that come with doing business on the continent. Kwame says, whether it be Sierra Leone or Ghana, it's Africa and it's all good. I appreciate that. Well done. Thank you. Lenora says, you need to build your own business now. Congratulations. Thank you. Yes, I do. And on that note, let me just kind of talk through the core tenets of the business as it stands and as we're going along, right? So number one is obviously the media platform and the social media platform, right? And allowing people to advertise on this platform. So if that's an individual who wants to just do a post, you can pay me for a post on Instagram. And now that I have some real engagements and I'm reaching 3 million accounts a month, that gives you exposure to many people around the world. My top cities now are New York, Lagos, Nairobi, and there was one more city I can't remember. And my top countries are South Africa, the United States, Canada, Nigeria, and there was one more country too. Anyway, I just do top 4. So that's one thing, right? Offering that to people, and that's one revenue stream. Also, there are brand partnerships now that I can do. Now, as the platform is growing, there are more brand partnerships that I can do, which, by the way, I can do more of that in Sierra Leone because of the size of the country and the sheer number of, there aren't as many folks who are on camera personalities there who are being offered these opportunities. And so that'll allow me to do that. And I think that I can help to kind of build a network there. And I really want to do a lot more with the tourism and travel to Sierra Leone in particular. And so I can be a part of the public-private partnerships. As I mentioned, I had some conversations with folks in the tourism authorities just recently, and they were really positive discussions. Need to hydrate. You guys, if you guys might remember, I used to hydrate a lot and then I stopped. So let me get some more water real quick. Okay, so this is Jojo Ya says, I like your offerings and your geniusness. Thank you. I appreciate that. Wow. Oh, genuineness. I said genius. I wanted to see genius, and it definitely says genuineness. So, Freudian slip, I guess. I will follow up. I am from, I guess, what, Carib? Is that like the Caribbean, or is there actually a country called Carib? Because I'm not familiar with it if there is. Living in Maryland, USA right now. I'm very interested in things in Africa. Nice. There's definitely talk. Considering visiting or maybe moving one day in the future. Nice. Julian says, learn about the legend by Burra. His fight with the British reminded me of Ya and the Ashanti people. Yes. So there are stories like that that need to be told. That's the other thing. I want to do more historical content about Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone has a long list of firsts that it was. The first modern post-secondary institution was in Sierra Leone. The famous FBC, or Frobe College, was the first modern post-secondary institution in West Africa. And that has long been forgotten by everyone. So that's why there were so many Nigerians in Sierra Leone, even Ghanaians. People from West Africa would come to Frobe College in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and even prior to that. And it's just unfortunate it's not the case anymore. But, Sierra Leone has a rich history, and it does need a little bit more of a light shown on it. Christabella says, hit that thumbs up button, everybody. Yes, please do. Mari says she agrees with Kwame. Julian says, I was out there 2 weeks. Trust me, I am super networker at all levels. It's important for us, the diaspora, to play our part and see the opportunity, because these other folks, of course, Lebanese, Chinese, and Indians, see opportunity, yes, and they're obviously taking full advantage of it, to most people's dismay. And you can tell by that live that I did last week and the content that I did the prior week. that people are very unhappy about the fact that there are other folks doing it. And so it's going to be up to us to change that narrative, right? And so it's on us. So I love to see that. Mari Shai says that will be wonderful. Yes. Let's see. Arlatillo says a big hug from Sao Tome and Principe. Yes, and you're the one who taught me about all the island countries off the coast of the continent of Africa. So I appreciate that, because although I knew about Cape Verde, that was the only one I knew about. I didn't know there were 5, and you named them on the last live. And now I know off the top of my head there are 5. I can't name them all, except for 2 of the 3, but I will say that I know that now. So 215 Real Exposure says, what are you doing with your belongings? It's a great question. So I have 21 plants. I know you can't see any of them in the background here, but I have 21 plants. Those are all going to go to Abri. A mentor / friend of mine owns a hotel and a bunch of land in Abri, and one of the people managing his property, she loves plants, and that's part of one of the businesses that she does. So she's going to be taking care of my plants and plant sitting for me for the foreseeable future, or forever. I mean, we'll see. Those 21 plants are going up there, and they may stay up there. And then everything else, I'm still working that out. TBD. I haven't actually booked my trip to Sierra Leone yet, because I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with this stuff. I don't want to give it to the building for free. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with it. Some of it I'm just going to take with me. So like all of these curtains and stuff, this is all getting packed in suitcases. And even if it doesn't go with me now, it will come with me later. These suitcases will be at a couple of friends' houses, and while I work to decide like when all this stuff is going to come with me. But yeah, I'm also thinking about the table that I'm doing this on, my dining room table, a couch, all of my paintings and pictures, all of that. I plan to bring all of that with me, if I don't end up coming back here in 4 or 5 months and I have a place that I end up wanting to stay in. It just all has to come with me. So as of right now, I'm looking to find a place to store it for now. And then depending on what the next 3 months look like, I'm also going to be looking for a way to bring it from Ghana to Sierra Leone. Okay. Jojo Ya says, genius, of course. I have longed to see a platform that has Black people's creations, and glad I found yours. Looking to buy a drum. Nice. Awesome. Yes. So Authentic African technically is live again. Some of those products are going out of stock. And so I have to get back into the rhythm of updating what's in stock, what's out of stock. And so I haven't really been announcing it and talking about it as much, because there's still some cleaning up I need to do, but I need it for it to be live so that I could continue to do some work behind the scenes on the multi-vendor marketplace and building the app, which requires like some coding. And I am not a coder, but I know enough to be dangerous if I can copy and paste in certain areas. And so I'm working through that process, but small. It's a process for sure. Here's a good question. Julian says, Joe, what's your thoughts on the Salon government tax demands that cause a lot of foreign businesses that employ Sierra Leoneans to close down? What's the story on this? So this is something I need to dig into a little bit more. I've heard about it, but I don't have the details. And so when I get there, I can get the after effects and actually talk to folks that have been dealing with this. But tax is an issue in this part of the world. They mimic a lot of what they do in the UK with high taxes. You know, in the UK, you do have over 50 housing, you have government housing, you have free healthcare. Sierra Leone still requires you to pay for healthcare, but they also have taxes on all these other different new things now. Ghana also has really high health taxes. I know, because I was getting paid like an interesting wage, put it that way, when I was living here in Ghana. And the amount of taxes that were taken out was new to me. That was definitely different. And I didn't have all of the knowledge around tax law and things that I could do to reduce my tax burden like I do in the United States. And so I was just paying all the taxes here in Ghana. So yeah, that is a thing. But I have to do more research on that, Julian. To be honest with you, I don't have too much detail on that yet, but I will. Spirit Warrior says, sell those things except the art. Will be cheaper to replace them than paying for the shipping. That's probably true. I'm actually in the process of hearing from people what I can actually ship and what I can't. So that's a good point. I may just have to just sell it. Okay. Spirit Warrior says, Creole. Are you laughing at my Creole? Yeah, man, listen. That is also another thing, is I'll be able to speak Creole more fluently being in Sierra Leone. I haven't been great at speaking Creole, and so it will allow me to practice a whole lot more, and I definitely will be doing that. Mr. Papa Bear is asking how long I've been on the continent. For over 2 years now. I'm a senior citizen. This is Smith. This is Douglas Smith Sr. saying, I'm a senior citizen. What's in Ghana for me? That's a great question. I mean, there are some folks who have retired and have moved to Ghana, and they found it as a great place to retire to. You know, much like people who retire to the Caribbean, retiring to West Africa has a lot of the same vibes in the feel. It's just you don't have the same level of tourism, except for in Ghana, where you do, right? Some place like Jamaica, where you have tourism year round. Ghana has two really high tourism seasons, and really more specifically, December is the highest, November, December. And so you have a large influx of people, a lot of Americans, a lot of diasporans coming to town or coming to the country. And so that would be one of the things that you would experience here differently than maybe if you were to move to the West Indies at the same capacity. But it's a place to retire and live a peaceful life. You know, you can absolutely do that here. And if you have some disposable income, you can buy some land, and that land that you buy will, you know, if you 20 years to spare, it will more than quintuple in value. You can ask anybody who bought land in the 1990s in East Legon how they're doing right now, or even people who bought land in East Legon 10 years ago. So yeah, for sure. All right. There are any other questions on Instagram? I'm in Cali. I can help you with shipping. I might just sell my stuff in Cali as well. I might just be selling everything, because at the end of the day, at this point, I'm holding on to stuff that I was like, you know, there was like a level of nostalgia when I was living in these luxury apartments in New York, and then, you know, Hulu paid to ship me across the country and ship all my stuff. And so I was like, you know, I held on to it. Like, you know, I bought this at CB2, this expensive couch, and I had an ottoman that went along with it, and the TVs and the TV stands, and all of my photography equipment that I had, because I was renting out my apartment for video shoots and photo shoots and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's been sitting there for 2 years and costing me $200 to $300 plus a month. It just needs to go. So I am going to be selling this stuff in LA. So anybody who's in LA and wants to buy it, I'll definitely make sure you guys are aware. And then I will probably have to sell my stuff here. If by tomorrow I don't have a solution as to where everything goes, the next solution is to sell it. So because when I come back, and if I do get another apartment that is unfurnished, I can go buy new furniture. There's no point in me trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this stuff if I don't know when next I'm coming back. And if I'm coming back, I might as well just sell it, especially if there's nowhere to store it. I don't want to drive myself crazy trying to figure it out. And I need to do something quickly so that I can sell it, so that I can leave by Monday of next week. Brian Lee is saying, do you have to be vaccinated to enter the country or to become a citizen? I'm not really sure on the citizenship part, but the citizenship is 5 to 10 years for most, unless you have someone who's connected and you've done something like help 36 people get buy property. So Aletha, someone who I interviewed a while ago, who has been doing consultations for people moving to Ghana and who sold land, who are buying land. Sorry, she got her citizenship, I think, only after being here 2 or 3 years. But that's because she knew somebody who got in citizenship, who kind of was a very big person in the community. He's a rabbi, and she also has quite an interesting story, right? As a country, that's the type of person you want to offer citizenship to, somebody who's bringing people in and actually putting their money where their mouth is, right? So Spirit Warrior says, I'm planning on shipping quality mattresses from the States. Couldn't find a good one in Sierra Leone. That's a good point. I did have a double pillow top mattress that was like amazing with a nice box spring. It was amazing. And I haven't been able to find something since. So that's a good point. That's a good idea. Mattresses are good, because mattresses are a dime a dozen here, but they're all the same. And the same kind of mattresses you get in Sierra Leone are the same kind of mattresses that I saw here in Ghana and I have here in Ghana. Like this thing here, this mattress is the same kind of mattress you get in Sierra Leone. So good point. That's a good idea. Spirit Warrior, for sure. Oh, and to answer the question about being vaccinated to enter the country, Brian Lee was asking. I'm pretty sure that that is the case. Yes, I'm pretty sure you do need it. You definitely need the yellow fever. The other one, I'm pretty sure you need as well. Cool. All right. It's been an hour and 15 minutes so far. Any more questions, comments, concerns? Mr. Papa Bear is said, I'm in LA, bruh. Please put us on game. Or you, yeah, I can sell my stuff if you want to buy it. Yeah, I'll. So anybody who's interested, okay, here's the thing. Anybody who's interested in Ghana or Sierra Leone and seeing what is available, I have pictures of all my stuff in LA. Did I say Ghana or Sierra Leone? Sorry, Ghana or LA. So I have I'm taking pictures. I have pictures of all my stuff that I am selling in LA. So I'll share that with you all. Just send me an email to authenticafricanlife@gmail.com or send an email or DM me on Instagram. But it's probably the best thing to do is send me an email. Now, I do get my emails a little bit more often now. So instead of being once every 2 weeks, it's not like once every 3 to 4 days that I've been able to get through all my emails and get through all my DMs. And so I will be much more responsive now that I don't have a job that takes up 12 hours of my day. So yes, that would be something I will do for sure. Spirit Warrior saying yellow fever for sure for Sierra Leone and Ghana. Okay, Lenora saying this is for Ghana, by the way. Need a COVID test not to be vaccinated for Ghana. I think both of you guys, maybe you guys both are talking about Ghana. Julian is saying no vaccination required to enter Sierra Leone or Ghana, just 48-hour COVID test. Okay, all right, there you go. Boom, answered. Love the chat. Always helpful in everything. So next week's live could potentially be here from Ghana, and it will be the last one I do in Ghana. Maybe not indefinitely, but definitely for a long time. I do plan to come back at some point because I got about, I don't know if you guys can see. No, never mind. You can see it in the corner here though. There's a couple of suitcases here that have been sitting there forever. So some of those are going to stay, and I'm gonna have someone help me ship them over when I get there. But yeah, these are all things that are coming back. But I'm probably gonna make another trip back here at some point. And when I do make that trip back here, I'm gonna maybe bring a last bag or two coming back. Bronco Blue says that thin foam type mattress they use over there, strangely enough, had the best sleep in ages. Yeah, I mean, that's like some people who sleep on the floor, right? They like it's flat surface, hard surface, and it works out for them. So for some people it's great, for some people not so much. It all depends on the person. I'm of two minds. I've been sleeping on them for so long I kind of forgot. But when I got back to the States and I was staying in an Airbnb, I was like, oh yeah, I remember what these feel like. So yeah. Oh, and then when I was staying in New York too. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns, thoughts? Anything else from anyone else before we bring this thing to a close? While we do work on that, let me tell you guys what videos are coming up this week. So I have 2 videos that I did with a young lady named Amina Kone. She is an on-air personality at AYB, as a matter of fact, which was mentioned today. She moved from Saudi Arabia to Sierra Leone, and she was on one of the local reality shows there. Called what is it called again? Housemates. So she was on Housemates, and now she works for AYB, and she has a show that's a lot like Fashion Police, like the local version of that in Sierra Leone. So we're going to talk to her about her experience leaving Saudi Arabia, moving to Sierra Leone, deciding to become an on-air personality, doing content. And then we have another conversation with her about datings, and it's going to be a part 2 to the part 1 we did where I was interviewed by her on her channel we do a part 2. So those are the 2 videos coming this week. So that will be on Wednesday and on Sunday, or actually this week and next week, technically. So Wednesday and Sunday, we're going to have 2 pieces of content from that. And then if you haven't caught it already, check out the content that I did. I interviewed, you know what, let me put it in the chat actually. So I interviewed Veronica, who left Sierra Leone when she was 18 and moved to the States. And she expresses what her experience has been like leaving the Sierra Leone and what she was used to, moving to the States, how challenging it's been for her to transition and to adjust. And then also what she misses about Sierra Leone, if she'll ever move back. And then we did the 5 changes that have happened in Sierra Leone. So I don't know how many of you guys know, but I did a 10 things I wish I knew before going to Sierra Leone. And when I did that, it was one of those pieces of content that people were really grateful for. And that's how many of you guys found me. And so I wanted to do an update on that because that video was filmed almost 2 years ago. And so now that there's been so many changes, I have done a new video where I talk about those different changes. So with that, let me give you guys the link to wait, which video is this? Okay, whatever. This one is the 5 things update link. Oh, Spirit Warrior said he watched the 5 changes video. Nice. Glad you did. And then this one is going to be the interview I did with Veronica. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch it, I'm going to send that right now as well. So after this live, make sure you watch these 2 videos and you give it a thumbs up. You share it with anybody you know who's planning to come here or to visit. Yeah, and make sure if you're not subscribed as well, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you guys get notified every time a new video comes out. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? I'm going to check the chat for a couple more as they come along. But yeah, let me know. Okay, so Honora said you'll be contacting me. Bronco Blue said Ghana is either or now, I guess meaning in terms of the mattresses. Spear Warrior said Stafford Lodge has really good mattresses, 24/7 generator. Yeah, so that's a good point. So Stafford Lodge is, and is it Dory? It's Dory, right? So I interviewed Dory. She's an African-American who moved to Sierra Leone for love, and she's now running Stafford Lodge, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the first and only African-American run hotel in Freetown. And so I interviewed her, and then we also did a tour. So that's coming in the coming weeks. I'll make sure to share that with you guys so you guys get a chance to see what it was like for her and hear her experience. Because her experience is going to be one more like those of you who don't have a direct connection to Sierra Leone. I at least had 25 years of stories about Sierra Leone and my family heritage and hearing Creole. So when I went to Sierra Leone, although it was a shock, you know, coming from the States, I at least had a little bit of a understanding of what to expect. I think Dory's story is interesting, right? Because she meets a guy, they end up getting married, have kids, and she starts visiting and decides to move. She quits her government job, decides to move, and now is running the hotel, Stafford Lodge. So her story is interesting, and I'm going to be sharing that with you guys. So I'm looking forward to it. TJ says he knows who Amina Kone is. Nice. Good. So make sure you watch that video. Julian saying, thanks, Joe. Thank you for watching. Yeah. So any other questions, comments, concerns before we go? We're now at 1 hour and 24 minutes. I just want to check the Instagram chat to make sure I haven't missed anything. Flight to Film says, been a while since I caught your lives. What's new? Man, so much is new. Not sure if you're still on the live, but I'm leaving Ghana for now. 2020, okay, 215 real exposure. If you're still on, send me a message, DM me first so that I know, and just remind me that you need me to send it. Because once I get off this live, I'm going to forget everybody who I'm talking to. You know, there's so many people that I'm writing back to and conversing with. So if you send me a DM and remind me, I will absolutely send you that link. I just want to make sure I do that. Sam Mann says, dig, bro, you are spending so much of your time on you. Wait, I'm not sure I understand. Please give us a break. Yeah, I don't get it. What are you trying to say, Sam, man? I'm not sure I get it. Tell me what you mean, and I'm more than happy to clarify. Shout out to Samara who joined. So doing advertising and real estate is what brought you to Africa? It's a great question. So Mr. Papa Bear asked, did doing real estate and advertising bring you to Africa? No. The idea of doing investments brought me to Africa for the most part, but also I was and am building a house in Sierra Leone, and doing that from the States was incredibly difficult. And even doing it from Ghana has been difficult, but at the very least, I could hop on a flight for a couple hundred bucks, $400 to $500. I could get there in a couple hours and actually check up on it. Whereas when I was in the States, it was like twice a year. It was in May or in December, and I couldn't stay for extended periods of time, right? And so now that I'm here, I can go for a lot longer. So that's a big part of it. Yeah, real estate was a big part of it. But also the idea of changing careers and focusing on investing and putting my money where my mouth is, right? I've been talking about wanting to see Africa get to its rightful place on the world stage and see the continent flourish as it has been previously, and specifically Sierra Leone. And the best way for me to do that was to be here and actually live it instead of just talking about it, which I had been doing for years, 11 to be exact. Mari saying, yes, I love Dory. I met her from Columbus. So you met her in Columbus. That's crazy. We both are from Columbus and got citizenship in Sierra Leone at the same time. That's dope. Okay. So yeah. So Dory's from Ohio, Columbus to be exact. And so her story is going to be interesting. You guys will get a chance to hear. Bronco Blue says, peace, Joe, in chat. Everyone have a good night. Yeah, you have a good night as well. Thanks for joining. Abe Bangura says, can you please make a directory of authentic and honest businesses, trade people, and contractors, etc.? That's a good question. That's a good point. Like Angie's List, right? Isn't that one of those things that does that? Angie's List is something that does that. I could do that. The Authentic African Business List. That's interesting. I like that idea. Thank you. I will actually. Okay, business list. I like that idea. That was good. I know, as you said, I like that idea like 6 times, or 3 times, but it is a good idea and I like it. And I think it's needed. And I have a list of people so far, and I'm getting more lists of folks. And so I will have a directory. That's good. Business directory. I like it. Okay. It's on my list of things that I've taken a note of. Okay. Spirit Warrior says that'd be helpful. Good. We're gonna have a new version of the yellow pages. You know, what's it gonna call it? What are we gonna call the black pages? Is that crazy? Anyway, all right. You can tell I'm getting tired. All right, so I want to thank you guys all for joining. I think we're drawing this thing to a close. Everybody has said what they needed to say, it seems. Oh, there's one more. Natural Brown Diva says, it's always who you know. Many blessings to you and your new endeavors. Thank you. I really appreciate that. What else are people saying? I want to get through the rest of these Instagram messages. Oh, this is some old messages. So Mr. Papa Bear was asking how I moved to Ghana to begin with. I've just moved on a whim. It was a global sickness, the year of the global sickness inspired move. People were on lockdown. Companies were not agreeing to fly people back and forth and bring people over here in the world that I was looking to go into. So I just knew I had to be here to make that network. Prudasia, because it's a chat, I'm not going to be able to copy and paste your email to be able to communicate with you. So just email me at authenticafricanlife@gmail.com and let me know what you're looking to talk about. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. Mr. Papa Bear says, how does Africa see the current news of the changes taking place in Russia and China? It's a good question. Let's talk about this really quickly. Because some people are jumping off. So I'll answer this last question, and some people are jumping off. Emery Harding says, thank you, good night, thank you, good night. Lenora says, traveling mercy and grace, thank you. I might see you guys, good night to you too. I may see you guys on live again before I travel, but I do appreciate the traveling mercies and grace. Um, Sorry. All right, this has to be the last question because I'm yawning. My brain is actively seeking oxygen. All right, so um, the question was, how does Africa see it? So I can only speak to some of the people I know, and there's a concept of saying that I think people want to be they want to have more diversified debt, I guess. Not all of their debt wrapped up in one place. And what they like about the folks in the Far East is that when they do business in Sierra Leone, on the continent, at least the people that I talk to, they're actually doing business with them. Now there are loans and things like that, but they're actually business and infrastructure things and things that actually get done. Whereas it's mostly aid coming from the West, and it kind of makes you feel like you're less than, like you always have your hand out, um, and um, and they do take from the continent without actually doing any actual business, right? And so many people have said that they liked what's going on with China and Russia better. Now, I will say this: there's a couple things to keep in mind. Um, the power of the United States, right? A, a big part of it is the fact that it happens to be one of the biggest economies and also a democracy, a true democracy, which I know people have their disputes against it, and there's the global cabal, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. But in terms of, like, let's just say people vote, there's a winner, there's a process, right? Whether you guys think it's derived or real or whatever, I know a lot of people who follow this platform don't believe or agree with it, but at least there's the perceived ability to be able to do that. Let's put it that way. We can all agree at least there's that. And that has been the prevailing option in terms of how people have been running their countries for the most part around the world, because it's been working, because the economy has been doing so well. You now have two countries who are also doing well and are creating partnerships and also have debt in other places that do not operate in that way, right? You have one country where the head of the one single party of that country, the CCP, has been in power for, I think, 20 something years and will be the head of the CCP until his last breath. He has assigned himself the head of CCP till he dies. So that is starting to look like a viable model for other countries on the continent who have already been flirting with that model, right? There have been military coups on the continent. There have been dictatorships on the continent. There have been folks that have stayed in power for 30, 40 years. And for the most part, most of the continent, the people of the continent, we're talking about the people, they want the idea of democracy. But many of those folks who are in power don't, right? Because it gives them the ability to stay in power. But that's a conflicting view with some of the people on the ground, because in some cases they're saying they want a democracy, but they're also excited about the power shift away from the Americas, but it's going to countries that are saying that their option for for building a viable country is the best option, having a same person in power for extended periods of time. And so that is one of the challenges that I see, just like watching. And I don't think that people who are really excited about these changes are really noticing. For me, I do think that in some cases you might need to have somebody in office for 15 years to really turn things around and to change things. But you also don't want the wrong person in power for 15, 20, 30 years. So that's the reason why the United States has always had maximum of two consecutive or 2 terms in general, because absolute power corrupts absolutely, as they say. And so, we on the continent have already set precedent for these kinds of things. And so you just see more of it and it happens. And so I do think that it is going to be important that if in fact there's more of a lean towards the Eastern powers in terms of business dealings and things like that, that they don't necessarily pick up on the governance practices that you see there. It's a long way to answer your question, Mr. Papa Bear, but I hope it does and I hope that it was satisfactory response. I also have to be careful what I say on these platforms because, you never know who's watching. And I do have a TikTok account, if you know what I mean. Natural Brown Diva says, thank you for your YouTube videos and your IG posts. It really gave me a good plan when I traveled there last month. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad it did. Mr. Papa Bear, sounds like Africa ain't for a man who lives a simple life. It can be. It absolutely can be. It's actually more for, I think, a person who lives a simple life, to be honest with you. Because you can live a very simple life here if you want to. You just also want to make sure you know where you want to stay and where you live. Natural Brown Diva said, yes, you receive my content more. Oh, this is all old because it takes me a long time to scroll through here. That's why I always tell people to come to the YouTube live. Mr. Papa Bear was asking like an hour ago what an incubator was, and I'm just not getting to his question. So an incubator is all right. So I answer that question as well. So you guys have all seen a premature baby, right? The idea of a premature baby, and they're in an incubator, or like sometimes they do it with incubators with animal eggs, right? To have the animal eggs hatch. An incubator. The idea of an incubator is to the best way to describe it is use the animal or the child or the baby metaphor, right? And it's to nurse it to health and get it to become a healthy, growing baby. And so that is the idea of what incubators do. You have these different cohorts, sometimes 4 months, sometimes 3 months, sometimes an entire year. And you are given all of the different tools you need to succeed. You have talks from other founders and CEOs who have had successful businesses. You have investors come in and talk to you about their investment perspectives and what they're looking for, and you get to pitch them. You have the ability to learn about human resources and investment readiness and finances and marketing and engineering. They even from time to time give them employees to work at their organizations. And so that's the idea of an incubator. So for anybody who's been asking and wasn't really sure what that means, and I've been talking about incubators, which was really early in the discussions, and sorry, I'm just now getting to it. That is what an incubator does. And sometimes they actually invest in those startups as well. So we're doing an incubator called Launchpad Africa as part of what we're doing, but most of what we're doing is going to be training and seminars and things of that nature, and then offering tools for investment readiness and financial management. Mr. Papa Bear says, how can I quit my job and leave and work in Africa? I would definitely recommend you come here first, get a chance to do some networking and see what you can do for living here and what it costs. I mean, what it pays you and what it costs to live here before you quit your job and move. I actually left my role, my full-time job, pre the global sickness in January of 2020. And I had a whole plan for what I was planning to do. And that's a conversation for another time, but it was a plan to get me $20K per month in income from one client. And I had a system in place. I was this close to doing a pilot program with the office manager, and they had the first case of that global sickness, and they shut down the offices until about 3 weeks ago, or 3 months ago. So that place was shut down until about 3 to 6 months ago, from all the way back in March of 2020. And so what I was planning to do was no longer going to work. And so, but I left my role to do that. And so during that time, I built up some clients to consult with and other income streams that would allow me to move to Ghana and continue to do what I was doing. And then I ended up getting a job there too, or here. So I definitely don't recommend you just quit and move. I definitely think you should be a little bit more strategic, but yeah, that's what it looked like for me. All right, Patricia is here. What's up, Patricia? Welcome. Patricia saying, hey, everyone, hope all is well. We had a heavy rain earlier this morning in New York, but sunshine outside. Nice. Well, at least you'll land in the actual place where your ancestors are from, Sierra Leone. Exactly. Patricia saying, I want to start my business as Airbnb in Kenya or Rwanda. Big up to all our brothers and sisters on the continent. Yeah, so Patricia's Jamaican. Shout out to you. Yeah, I mean, Airbnb businesses are always good. I think what you're going to have to do is figure out a couple things: how to become a super host as soon as possible, and how do you ensure that you always have a constant flow of people coming to your and booking from you. Um, I actually took a course on Peerspace that taught me how to do Airbnb. It's kind of the same thing, and naming it sun drenched spacious apartment next to the Staples Center so you can watch the Lakers play. Now somebody is scrolling through and they see sun drenched, apartment next to the Staples Center, spacious apartment next to the Staples Center, and then the picture it depicts. It was a picture from a corner where you could see basically the apartment was 3,600 square feet. So from one angle, it looked really, really big. And so that picture was just like perfect, and people were booking it all the time. So yeah, I mean, you have to figure out how to stand out, because there are going to be a lot of people doing it, and you just want to be able to stand out. So you can do that though, because there are a lot of people doing Airbnbs in downtown LA, and I was booked up every time I needed to be. So definitely recommend taking a course on it for sure. You said great advice. Thank you. I'm glad you found it that way. Okay, cool. All right, guys. We're now at 1 hour and 41 minutes, and we are seeing the law of diminishing returns here. People are starting to jump off and are a little bit disinterested in the discussion at this point in time. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to move this to another time. If you guys want to continue this discussion, let me know. Have more conversations like this. I do plan to next week on the live go deeper into the product offerings that I'm offering, and hopefully I'll have been able to launch some of it by then. So if anybody wants to promote your business, you'll be able to do that, and we'll talk about how that looks, the number of eyeballs and all of that you get on my platform, and then the costs associated with that. So with that, guys, as always, I want to thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure you send this to 3 people you know planning to move to the continent. And make sure you also comment in the replay so that the algorithm picks it up and it ensures that more people get a chance to see this video. So with that, guys, I want to thank you all once again for joining, and I will see you all on the next video.